This week's edition of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by the new GV.com, now GameV.com.
GoDaddy.com.
And and Netflix.
Perfect.
All right, what do you want? What do you want more than anything in the world? You want to do a show in front of a green screen? Huh? Do ya? Yeah, you want yellow? No, you don't want yellow. Do you want red? No, you don't want red. You want a big green screen, don't you? You want to come out here and do a show here, don't you? Yeah, you come out here and you do it. You do that
Look,
show.
he's not listening to you, all right? He's nervous. He's freaking out.
Well, get him his busy bee. You want your busy bee?
Well,
Get your
you
busy
get the
bee.
busy bee. I've got to trim his whiskers, all right? It's in the crate.
Where is it?
It's in the crate.
Why didn't you leave it out here in the first place? We're in the crate. It's not in here. It's not in here.
It should be in the crate.
Wait, it's not in the crate. I just told you that.
Jeffrey, if you don't get it to him, he's going to flip out.
Wait, it's not in here. What did you do with the busy bee? Did you bring it inside the house? Where you go in the house and you get busy bee?
All right,
Run!
all right.
Run!
Three rad dudes with nothing better to do get abducted by the crew of the Starship Alpha 2. They're from the planet Q, which, due to a space-time loop, is stuck in 82 and must be rescued. They need our heroes to discuss the latest news and give their reviews of games and movies too. Sure hope you're not confused. We swear this is all true, not just the premise too. The Totally Rad Show.
Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad Show.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode number 54. I'm Alex Halbert.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
The Totally Rad Show is a weekly dose of all things rad. We go down to Target and rifle through the underwear drawers to find the raddest pair of underoos possible. Did you guys have underoos?
Sure did.
Of
Winnie
course.
Winnie the Pooh underoos.
I think I showed you guys. I went
Star Wars.
Recently went back up. No, actually, it was during Christmas time. I went up to the house I grew up in and looked through some old pictures and stuff of when I was a kid. And there was a preschool what are your favorite things? And my favorite thing to wear was my underoos.
Yeah.
Underoos,
fan
just
of
so I'm
underoos.
sure that we're talking about the same thing, is PJs with feet.
No.
Underoos are undies.
Superhero
are like
flavored.
whitey tighties, but with superhero stuff, and then an undershirt,
Yeah.
right? So it's
you
like
look
a
like
Batman
Superman.
shirt. No,
Or
it's like a Batman
Spider-Man or
shirt
whatever.
or a Spider-Man shirt, and then Spider-Man undies.
Oh, my
It's the
friends, I've never worn
underoos.
underoos.
Well, I'm wearing some now.
Wow. I wish I could be wearing some now. Do they make
Adult underoos?
like
That's like Fantastic
boxeroos?
Four underoos.
Boxeroo.
That's what I want. I want some boxeroos.
You know what would be awesome? I just had this most brilliant idea.
What?
Boxer shorts that are purple and look torn.
Oh, like green.
Like
Hulk?
the Hulk.
Or like Green Man.
Just came to me. Get on that, people of...
So, background is insane right now.
the
Yeah,
TV,
TV
one?
guy.
Yeah,
TV
it's
one.
awesome.
Yeah.
Because we're doing TV this week.
Yeah, this is from Luke Stoneleigh.
It's all staticky. Like TV, when it doesn't work, except just our programming comes on. All right, let me explain. I have to explain.
It's fine, Dan.
It'll be funny.
Everybody
It'll be
thinks you're
funny. It'll be
amazing.
funny. It'll be funny. They have to
already
know
broken.
we do have a really insane background.
We have this crazy animated background we're
Yes.
going to use at some point.
Next week.
Jeff showed
And
us,
I had
and
in mind-
Dan thought that
Yeah.
he was talking about that when he was like, it's freaking
TV one
crazy.
Not to
equally
take
as
anything
cool.
away from Luke.
It's
No,
great.
no.
Hence it's up here.
But
Totally up here. But
that is what just happened.
This is the moment.
That is what that was.
Good cover.
Yes.
Good work. Comic-Con.
This week in movies, we are going to talk about 21. 21 is a new movie based on a true story, which was written in a book written by the guy who it's basically like an autobiography.
Kind of.
But it's not. It's just about this. Basically, it's
Called
about
Bringing Down the House.
Bringing down the house. This there's a subtitle to it, but 6 MIT students. Who count cards and bring down casinos. And the movie is directed by this guy, Robert Lukatic, who did, or I don't know if that's how you say his name, but basically he did Legally Blonde and kind of had a wonderful debut and is always seen to as this new, young, hot romantic comedy guy. He did Win a Date with Tad Hamilton,
Oh, yeah.
which I didn't
see.
really.
Yeah, some
but-
parts on like HBO.
Exactly.
Or, yeah.
I was very intrigued to see this movie because this didn't seem like his usual fare. It stars Jim Sturgis, who was earlier in this year in Across the Universe, which is a movie we didn't talk about, but I thought he was phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah, is he British or not?
He's British.
Yeah, wow.
Cool.
And Kate Bosworth and Kevin Spacey. And others. But those are the stars.
AKA Larry Fishburne.
Right.
First name basis one.
So that's the movie, fellas. What did you think of it, Alex?
I thought of it about what your energy level is now. Okay. In the enthusiasm that you had describing it is how I feel about the movie. Just like, whatever, okay, cool, interesting little story, clearly exaggerated for movie purposes. Because you said your brother read the book. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they didn't get beat up.
Nope.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that it was like, gotcha, it was fun, I'm going back to MIT. Meh.
Yeah.
So, on that level, it was just sort of like, meh. The one thing I thought was actually very interesting, besides the fact that the interesting thing about this is they really go into depth as far as what counting card. I know more about counting cards than I ever did, even though you kind of know a little bit about what it is, you know, the goods, the bads, and then the in-betweens, as it were. I thought the most attractive I've seen Kate Bosworth. Usually I'm sort of the opposite of her because she, a lot like Keira Knightley, is sort of the Skeletor-esque, like, please have a sandwich, I don't want to break you kind of thing. In Superman especially, she was like,
Gaunt.
Gaunt. Very classy of you.
I'm familiar with that word.
So I'm going to say, you know, whatever. I could care less. If I had not seen this movie, I'd be fine. If you want to go see this movie, go ahead. If you hate it, I didn't tell you you'd love it.
I think that is the first time I've actually heard "I could care less" used appropriately, because you could care less.
I could.
You could also care more.
Right, exactly. That's the whole point.
Could you care more?
It's interesting because this is kind of like the movie we reviewed last week. It was based on a true story, and you were sort of ambivalent. We were all. I mean, you liked it a little more.
I like
than
the
I
bank
did.
job more than 21.
Yeah.
I like the bank job more than 21.
I'm a huge Kevin Spacey fan. I could watch Kevin Spacey read the dictionary, you know, or the phone book, you know. Be like,
I think the cliche is phone.
That's all right. It's okay.
Be like-
Dictionary would be also boring.
be like, Abramowitz, David, you know, something like that. So every time he's on the screen, it's pretty cool because I like Kevin Spacey. Everything else is pretty bad. I think I liked it less than even you did. I'm not ambivalent about it. I actively dislike it. And I didn't read the book, but I read excerpts in Wired magazine and know the story a little bit. And it's really an interesting, cool, true story that in this movie doesn't feel true at all. The movie feels so fake and phony and false and contrived, and there are things that happen that don't make any sense, and people acting specific ways that doesn't make any sense. And I was so checked out halfway in it. The nerds acting nerdy and the fat kid acting fatty, and it's really not good.
I did want to say one more thing that I totally forgot. I actually really enjoyed the like fat kid friend. I thought he was amazing.
Well, the actor was good, but the stuff they were doing is
No, I know, but I was like, I picked him out of that whole crowd of people and go, that guy needs a career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd see that guy in anything.
Completely agree with you on that. I agree. I think contrived is the perfect word to describe it. But to be quite honest, I really enjoyed the movie.
What, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you shouldn't take that.
You got me a little.
I mean, I enjoyed this movie in the way that you enjoyed Jumper, and the way that you may or may not have enjoyed The Mist.
I like The Mist because it was smart and fun. And
Yeah, okay, I did not
Yeah,
find this about
that's
that.
not why you liked
Okay, well, that's
25.
not why I like this, but I just really enjoyed it. I was hypnotized. It's Goodfellas and Boogie Nights, which surprised me. It's a rise and fall story. It follows that exact same. Dude, I do not think this is the quality.
well,
of
don't
Goodfellas.
bring those up, then.
I'm talking about
comparing them.
I'm talking about the formula of the plot. It is that fish out of water, learning the process, and I was just hypnotized by the process. I'm hypnotized by like, wow, okay, you do this, you can do that, and that works that way, and that works that way. I did not like that it was sort of Ocean's 11-y in that these guys suddenly
like,
were like,
ran-
I believe they did wear disguises, but I didn't like that they like put on voices and can assume other identities, and that I would have found it to be much more interesting if it was really about bright kids,
Yeah.
really smart kids who cracked the system and not being so slick. And this sort of was about these kids who were slick.
It's funny that you said Ocean's 11 because towards the end there, or maybe in the middle there, where they're like going to the strip clubs and they're like, "Hey, Mr." It was almost like Vegas Vacation with Nick Papagiorgio. You know what I mean? It's
They
there's
wanted
no
it
way.
to be cool. It's preoccupied
Right.
with being cool, and
Right.
that's not what's fun about the story. What's fun about the story is smart people being smart
Yeah.
and outsmarting a system that you think is designed to make you fail.
And no offense, but I don't think Kate Bosworth was on that MIT team. You know what I mean?
Well, there was a girl, but there were two
come on.
guys that recruited him,
Yeah.
his like former roommates, and they were already in the team. And I
Yeah.
mean, they took massive liberties, and nothing. Morpheus acting so stupid. It was like stupid. It was stupid. The movie's stupid.
Well, I
A little
enjoyed
bit,
it.
but
I enjoyed
think
it more
fun.
than that,
I
but
think
less
I
than
had
Dan.
I had a lot of fun watching it, I have to say. Anyway.
You know what? Too long. I would have probably been in your
it's
boat if it wasn't 2
very
hours and 10 minutes. Because there was a middle part there where I was just like, hop up. You know what I mean?
And did you guys not see the end coming a mile away? Anyway, move on.
Yeah, that's
it's every movie.
I had fun. Okay. So
Jumper, welcome.
I had your jumper. And everyone's got
By
them.
the way,
even you,
jumpers
sir.
are the things with the feet in the end. The pajamas with the little booties.
Yes, those are called jumpers.
So, way to tie that in.
Or
huh?
footsies.
Footsies. Okay. Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We watched that trailer. It's a little old, but we finally watched it.
Yeah.
Tropic Thunder is basically Three Amigos,
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
but with modern day
Vietnam War.
action
Well done.
stars.
Well done with the
Yeah,
Three
Dan,
Amigos.
that's
Action. I'm pretty sure that was probably the pitch too. Like
Probably.
But,
Well, yeah, but-
modern day action stars played by Jack Black, Ben Stiller,
Robert Downey Jr.
Jr. As a white actor in character as a black guy, getting plastic surgery to be black.
Really funny.
Who was there? Any other little?
No namies
was that it?
except
Okay.
Nick Nolte. I think was
Nick
sort of, is
Nolte,
sort of the
perfect.
The Oscar. What's that guy's name?
Brando in Apocalypse Now.
No, because he's
No.
the director
He's
guy.
the-
Coppola.
No. J.K.
Oh, the guy
JFK.
from 24 Hour Party
Stone,
People.
Oliver Stone.
Oliver Stone.
Oh.
Which,
It's sort of like crazy.
It's the guy
like,
from 24 Hour
let's
Party
just do
People.
it.
Oh, Steve Coogan.
Yeah.
So it was either going to be, I mean, obviously that role with Nick Nolte was either going to be Nick Nolte or Gary Busey. And they went with
Right,
Nolte.
yeah.
But
Let's get crazy disheveled actor.
I love the trailer, and I hope that this isn't the only way you watch it. Because I mean, you have to hear all these jokes. What did you guys think of this Tropic Thunder?
I'm excited.
I think it's an awesome trailer that's going to make a terrible movie.
Yeah, I
That
hope
could be
it's not
true.
Best Parts
That could
trailer.
be true. Yeah.
I think the concept, all the setup is going to be brilliant, but once they get in the jungle and the stuff starts happening, it's going to be learning a lesson about life, and it's going to be complete formulaic and bad.
Yeah.
But I think all of the first act is going to be hilarious. I think Robert Downey Jr. has become one of my favorite actors on the planet.
Yeah,
Completely.
agreed.
And that is just a brilliant send-up of There Will Be Blood. What's his name?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis, you know, that like actor who's so.
Dude, and you realize Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, he played an actor who
Yeah.
mistakenly entered into a real world situation that had to
Yeah.
use, like an action movie.
Yeah.
I had to say too, we had an argument about the director of Cable Guy a while ago.
Oh, and I lost that argument.
Yeah, you lost it because Ben Stiller directed Cable Guy. I remember saying that I thought, after seeing Cable Guy, I never thought Cable Guy was that funny.
Right.
But I know I'm in the minority there. But I think Ben Stiller.
I was on the fence with it.
From that movie, I thought he should direct an action movie. And here is that action.
Wow.
And here he's doing a comedy and an action movie.
Yeah.
I think he's the perfect director for this kind of
Cool.
thing.
I'm
Kind of looks like
excited
The
to see it.
Rundown too, the Peter Berg, The
Yeah.
Rundown, like that saturated,
The
hyper
Rundown with,
action.
The
Rock.
The Rock.
Yeah, I did not like that.
You didn't like it?
No.
Oh. Well, it has a similar
made the not
aesthetic.
like it face, I
It has a
saw.
similar aesthetic though.
Okay.
Regardless of all the-
Irregardless. So this was a very big week for handheld video games, but since none of us owns a PSP, Sony, if you want to send us one, please do.
No, I'm never gonna.
Oh, are you Dan handling, sir?
I believe
I am. If anyone at Sony is watching this, please send us a PSP. Because I would love to review Final Fantasy Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core.
Okay.
But we can't. So what we are going to review
I would
is...
love for you to review Final Fantasy Crisis Core.
What we are going to review is Ninja Gaiden DS. Stands for Dragon Sword, also stands for this console that it's on. It is the Team Ninja and Itagaki-san's handheld version of the popular action game that we've seen on the Xbox, and the sequel is coming out, and we will be talking a lot about that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
So this is a really interesting game in that it's trying to take that very high-end action, third-person action mechanic and adapt it to the DS. And they've done something very interesting. You hold the game like the book version, like Brain Age or Professor
Hero.
Layton.
Vertically.
Vertically, indeed. And you play the entire game with the stylus. So slashing on the screen makes your character slash. And you don't control your character directly.
Oh.
Stop.
Oh my God. My God. Dan, you nearly blew my mind. I was like, Dan is a fucking moron. He played the game. He has the game.
So you don't control your character directly as you would in a lot of games where you would move the character from place to place. You tap the place you want him to move to, you slash the enemy you want him to attack. It's a very unique and interesting play style. Alex,
Yes, I love starting.
since
first.
you actually played the game and know how to play it, unlike Mr. Slashy Pants over here.
That's funny. He's gonna be like, I hit all the buttons. All I did was block. Wow. Okay. Well, first off, I'm gonna say this is one of those games, a lot like Guitar Hero 2, when if somebody came up to me and said, Ninja Gaiden on the DS, I'd go, cool. You control your guy completely with the stylus, I'd go, you're a moron. This is stupid. What are you talking about? Right? That said, I loved it. It was so much fun. I felt like I was, it was like, it was easier to play than Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox to me. And I felt like I was doing more of the things that I was supposedly able to do on the Xbox version with my guy. I was doing throw attacks, jumping stuff, spins. I was, little cursive cues made him do things. I don't know. A lot of times I was just like, that guy. All right, good work, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So much fun. I actually only played the first 3 chapters, I think, and I'm saving the rest for my trip to Amsterdam.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I was like, dude,
It's good.
in,
It's something
super
to be.
fun. Yeah.
Danny, do you agree with Senor
A little bit.
Albrecht?
I think that the implementation of the stylus is awesome. I thought I was gonna get a little Kirby's Campus Curse action out of it, and it wasn't. I'll explain more later.
Can't wait for that.
I don't even know.
Graphics are great. Everything about it's great, but I think it's pretty clear to me that I do not like beat 'em ups, button mashers. I don't.
Stylus slashers?
Don't really enjoy it. I just don't. I think what thrills me in games is navigation, is platforminess, is puzzle and execution. You know what I mean? It's not fighting in games. Except for like Fight Night, where it's just the fighting, But it's
you
good.
don't like the hack and
I'm
slash.
pretty sure that the hack and slash, the genre is not the fit for me. I meant Canvas Curse because when I used the stylus in that game, it was like, oh, what a great way to use the stylus, because it was how to navigate the guy. I didn't think it was just gonna be for the beat 'em ups. I thought the navigation of the ninja was also gonna be like,
Which it is.
Well, yeah, I mean,
sort
And
of,
also,
yeah,
when
but
you
not
call
in the
the
way that.
spells, you have to write the
Yeah.
thing in order for the spell to
Sure.
execute.
Yeah.
And then you
No,
move the
guide.
spell
I think
around.
it's a smart execution. I'm just merely saying
Not a hack and slash.
I'm representing a portion of the audience that might not like these games, and I shouldn't say too much about. I just didn't have as much fun. That's all I can say about it in a negative way, because it's well made.
yeah, I think that I'm gonna definitely agree more with you that the stylus execution is brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, you see this kind of innovation from Nintendo first-party stuff, but to have a third-party look at the platform and look at it in a new way and look at their own property, which has an established set of rules and a way it's played, and be able to look at that with fresh eyes, I think is really remarkable. It does get a little bit monotonous.
Which I may not have seen yet because I was saving some for later.
To me, that's the sorry. No.
To me, it's the genre.
That's the genre.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, you're right. I mean, it is just kick the shit out of wave after wave of enemy. And I don't know why in this doing it this way is more. It seems more evident to me than doing it with buttons, but I love it. I mean, I really like the game. I think it's incredible. And one of the things I want to talk about in regards to that is, how many years has the DS been out? What, 4 or 5, Steve, do you know? It's been out a while.
The
3 or 4?
DS, yeah, because now we're on the DS Lite.
Yeah, it's been out a long time.
Yeah.
And it took this long for the stylus, because I remember when the DS was announced thinking to myself, really? A touchscreen? Oh,
yeah.
Stupid.
2 screens? Stupid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the way that, turning it to the side, really attacking the platform in unique and interesting ways has opened it up in such an awesome manner that these things are possible. Now, and I want to pose to you guys the idea that, do you think in 3 or 4 years we're going to have the same thing happening with the Wii? Where now it's just sort of waggle your arm off. Are you gonna see waves where like, oh my God, this totally justifies their innovation and it makes it seem like I didn't foresee this application of this technology.
Everything we heard when the DS came out was when people were first using it at E3 that year. I remember it was like, I totally thought it was silly, but oh my God, it's so cool I can use it. And I feel like they designed it for, in years to come, people will figure out how to use it and change it up. And I feel like that's the same thing with the Wii. Was the reason why they designed it so uniquely was for that innovation. It's like Disney, when you see the documentary on Disneyland, how he did all these things because he knew years down the road he had the foresight to know that people would want.
The only problem with that theory and the Wii is that I think console games have a much shorter lifespan than a handheld do.
Well, that's been the case.
What I mean?
It's been the case.
My fear is that in 4 years, the Wii 2 is going to be the next thing, and that the Wii is going to fall off, so you're not going to get as much. I mean, maybe the Wii 2 will have the technology in it instead of a different technology, but I feel like...
Really, the only reason for that is that Nintendo has decided that these handheld, and since they've had no competition really, they've decided that these have long lifespans.
Right. I think it's more about that there's no competition, less than... I mean, if somebody could... the handheld market is wide open.
Yeah.
No, I mean, N-Gage was the only thing that came out besides the PSP to really try to do some stuff, and it didn't work.
PSP,
although N-Gage is coming back. Supposedly they've got next gen.
Yeah, but it's...
I know, it's never going to be. But where's Sony?
But the PSP, honestly, we don't have one, but I really would like to get one because...
I had one for a little bit.
Right now is when it's coming into its own. The game, I mean, God of War coming out,
I know. I've
Core,
played so much stuff. Every time I was at E3, I always feel like the PSP wants to be a console. And the DS knows that it will never be a console. And I feel like Sony has this thing with the PSP of like, we're taking these console games and look, you can take them on a train. And it's like...
That's very true.
I don't want that experience.
Yeah,
and I think,
pared down console game as opposed to a completely unique experience,
right,
which
like
is what we're
playing
talking about
Ghost
today.
Recon on a PSP was never something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Which is the same reason why some of the games like the Metroid games and some of the first-person shooters, I don't like as much on the DS. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when... like with the Ninja Gaiden, they take a property and make it a portable version of the game. It's not the console ported down, it's a portable version of the game, completely independent. And I feel like that's what Sony doesn't do with the PSP games.
Yeah, I think
a lot of them are just ports of PS2 games straight off the shelf.
That's also true. I mean, it's a way for them these companies to increase revenue. It's like, we'll release it on the PS2 and release the same thing on the PSP. We'll have, Interesting.
Yeah.
So we're back to talk a little bit about television. Now in episode 50, Dan and I, surprised Mr. Kanata Pants here with the fact that we've been watching the first season of The Shield.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we kept referring to was talking about how The Shield is a lot like The Wire in sort of a different way. So we figured we should talk about The Wire. The Wire is one of my favorite TV shows. I've been watching it since the original series aired 5 years ago, I guess, at this point. The Wire follows, it's created by David Simon, who was a Baltimore City police reporter. And he was the guy who did The Corner, which was an HBO miniseries, I think.
Also did a Homicide: Life on the Streets, too.
That's
Oh,
correct.
that's right. He did do Homicide. So this is sort of his really in-depth, ultra-realistic look into the world of the streets of Baltimore, Maryland, which is very weird because I grew up near Baltimore, Maryland, and would go to the Inner Harbor and stuff
On the corners?
for funs. Didn't realize how close to, the Stanfields I was. It stars Dominic. What the hell is his last name?
It's also Dominic West.
West, Jesus. And then a bunch of people you've never heard of.
Character actors. Yeah.
But not only that, they also cast a lot of people in Baltimore. So they actually have Baltimore City police officers that play Baltimore City police officers, Baltimore City teachers that play Baltimore City teachers, and so on and so forth.
Kind of following Baywatch's play with.
A little bit like
realism.
Baywatch. Yeah,
No,
really
there was.
sticking to it.
I just remember as a kid there was a lifeguard. They cast a real lifeguard
Yeah.
as one of the lifeguards.
And I will say, just personally for me, when you watch The Wire, when you start to watch The Wire, you have to actually get past the fact that there's some really atrocious acting at times. And you just need to know, those are the people that are actually, that's them. They're not playing anything. So these guys got a chance to catch up on it. The season is over, the series is over. So, Danny, what did you think?
Okay, not caught up on it. I've begun watching it. I'm on the beginning of season 2, so please be careful. But
We're gonna keep our spoilers
as much
to a
as you
minimum.
can.
Yeah.
Spoilers to a minute.
Okay. So, The Wire is a show everyone had told me I was going to love, and I
I never said that.
No, everyone.
Oh.
Not just you.
Everyone?
I mean, every time I'd see it on TV, I was like, wow, I'm gonna love this show. I can't wait till I start watching it.
Yeah.
And for some reason in my head, I always envisioned it like City of God or the TV series City of Men, which is also a phenomenal television show. When I first started watching it, I was let down a little bit because it wasn't quite like that. And to be honest, I really didn't like the first disc or so. There's
There's a barrier to entry.
a barrier to entry. It
most
does not usher you into the story. It just starts.
Yep.
And it's very dense, and it doesn't cater to you at all. You have to be a very active viewer, and I was very uninterested in the beginning of watching it. And everyone said episode 6. Episode 6 is when you're gonna have a thing. I was like, oh, whatever. I'm sure maybe for him, but for me, it might be whatever. Just so happened that episode 6 opened on one of the drug dealer kids, basically a oneer, starting in his room, and he's brushing his teeth and getting all of his kids ready, all of the other kids that live in Aspirational School.
It's very City of God.
Yeah.
Amazing, true, interesting, amazing, and I was like, sometimes when you're just skeptical, and if you're on the negative side, everything that's not so good, you see it.
Yeah.
This tipped me over, and then everything that wasn't as good, like some of the acting, something not good, but you know what? I'll take a real guy who's not acting well. I will buy that more than someone who's over. I found it to be a little bit overly written as well in the beginning, more so. There was curse word usage that felt very clunky to me, but I got into it, and it really is the most realistic look at it's almost like here's real people doing their job. Here's another group of real people doing their job that sort of, when you put together, completely antagonize each other, and you just watch them do their jobs.
Right.
And that is just really fascinating to watch that process.
And you're really, and let me just say, at the beginning of season 2, it gets so amazing.
It's not. For me, it's not. It's not a Buffy or Firefly where I cannot wait to watch.
Of course.
But
are you gonna watch more?
It is phenomenally made, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just stop if we're gonna talk about it. But I started watching season 2 again, and I was like, oh, I think I will continue watching.
Yeah, it gets, especially, you should get to season 3 at least, because they bring back some of the people from season 1 and have season 2, and it starts to pollinate.
Jeff's baking
Jeffrey.
over there.
I am baking.
Cannot wait to see what comes out of the oven.
Okay, so The Wire. as many of you know, from the first moment I set my feet on this stage, I've been talking about The Shield, which I've said is the greatest show ever. And the response that I've gotten mostly from anybody that's wanted to challenge that notion is The Wire. Watch The Wire, you'll change your mind. So over the last 2 weeks, I've spent the majority of my free time watching the entire 5 seasons. I've seen every single episode, all 60 episodes of The Wire. And I am now prepared to admit that The Shield is still the greatest show ever. And here's why. I think The Wire is very, very good. Very, very good. Make no mistake, it's a very good show. It's not, I think The Shield is here, and then my next tier down is 6 Feet Under and Sopranos and The West Wing. But then The Wire is in that next group. You know, it's very, very good show. It's an interesting show because it's really about methodology. It's a very methodical show. And when people talk about the realism of it, they're talking about the police work and how realistic it is, the methodology of their police work. Other than that, I think it's a very unrealistic show. I think the plots themselves are very interesting. The writers have talked a lot about how they structure it like a novel, where there's a lot of setup and really that's how the seasons are structured. Like, you know, one story and really nothing quite happens until the last 2 episodes. Episodes end in weird places. It's like a chapter of a novel.
Right.
But the characters don't matter, you know? What matters is what's happening. I think the show could really be called The System because it's about the system. The thesis statement for the show is, it doesn't really matter who you are, how hard you try, or what you do. The system's gonna F you up. And it starts one way and it stays that way, and no matter how hard you try, that's just the way good intentioned people get into places with good intentions and the system beats that out of them. And that's all very interesting to see dramatized, but the things that I like to see, which is what The Shield does, and I don't want to make this about a comparison, but is dramatic
Awesome.
dramatic characterization, people whose opinions and actions really make a difference and they're in a dramatic situation. None of the characters in the show, they're all two-dimensional. They're all, it's a assassin with a heart of gold. It's a junkie with a heart of gold. There's
a lot of hearts of gold to go around.
Lots of hearts of gold. There's no real moral dilemma until the last season. The last season has a little bit of that, but even then, everyone's self-righteous.
Right.
It's a fascinating show, but there's so much. There's so many times when it's just the line is, "You mean to tell me X?" It's the show that I would make about waiting tables or selling tickets, the jobs that I have had, or what you guys would write about the jobs that you have had. It's from a perspective of complaining about the system. It's from a perspective of saying, oh, the people in charge don't know what they're doing. Oh, I try and try and try, and it's set up for me to fail. And that's an interesting perspective to have, but ultimately depressing and bleak.
I agree to some extent as far as that it's more about the system than it is about the sort of players, as it were. I think the distinction that I had, which is what I was saying in my sort of feelings on the first season of The Shield, is that the thing that I like about The Wire is that I truly believe this is how drug dealers react. This is what drug dealers do on a day-to-day basis. When they go to work, just like the same thing you were saying, like when they go to work, they got to deal with this shit, and that's what it is. And it's different. It's the same philosophy of, oh, I hate my work, or oh, I got to go to work, and this is what I do on a daily basis, and I'm trying to get, leg up to get a bigger, I want to run the corner, not be the guy who watches the bag on the corner, And that stuff to me is what was really interesting about The Wire, was that I sort of felt like I really got to see what was truly going on the streets, rather than what I think you get with The Shield and shows like The Shield, which I love that kind of show, which is the Hollywood version of kicking down the door, shotguns blazing, that kind of, it's why I said The Shield is more fun than The Wire. The Wire is more realistic than The Shield.
Well, but there's also this weird mix in The Wire of this very real methodology, but these situations that I have a really hard time believing. Like the character of Omar, who is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Omar and Bubbles, by far, are my favorite characters in the series.
Agreed.
And neither of them is for 1 second believable to me. The idea of this Robin Hood character in Omar that is always one step ahead, and he's a superhero. I mean, he's a superhero. And even in one sense, you know, he survives a 4-story drop somehow. You
Well,
know.
and maybe I don't
I'll
see
tell
that.
you-
Yeah, that's.
Oh, sorry.
But go ahead. What?
It's what I said in my original view of The Shield is because I didn't like that. What you said right when you started talking is you don't really like the character. You're not even seeing these characters as much as you thought The Shield is more defined by its characters.
It's not about the characters in this, I think.
And you also said found it two-dimensional. And it's funny because I thought that of The Shield. I thought The Shield, the characters were very two-dimensional. And here I thought it carried off the moral gray. Like for instance, it articulated one cop in the first season of The Wire is morally gray in that he has his kids do when he has the kids tailing the guy, and I was like, it's not like the main focus of the story.
He never has
happened, and he's kind of.
There's no moral gray. There's
not-
moral gray for me, the viewer, but not for him.
Right.
The
Well-
character is never in a moral decision, and the
Well,
characters
no,
in
he
The
kind
Shield
of
are
is,
always.
but I think that's more realistic in life. Is that things aren't like obvious. The Shield is more painting has broad strokes to say this guy does this extreme act on one end and extreme act on the other end, and this show is like. This more realistic, more like life.
I don't know. You should see the fifth
Well, I
season
haven't
of
seen
The
every
Wire.
season of The Shield. But
All
I
right,
saw
no,
season
of
one
the-
of
We need to
Shield.
wrap
and season
up.
one of
We
what?
do need to talk about another show, and clearly the debate of The Wire
broken to
and The
say that,
Shield.
but I immediately I liked
Rage forever.
I liked the characters in The Wire a little bit more, and you liked the characters in The Shield more, and so
Everything else falls into place.
Yeah, all the other things you look at the things that happen in The Shield. Oh, that's.
I think that's really oversimplifying my position, but I don't think it's an invalid argument.
Okay, well, we'll argue about it afterwards.
I understand what you mean.
We'll have a heated discussion about it, more likely. But we do want to talk about the new miniseries on HBO called John Adams, which is the story of John Adams.
Our founding father, or one of them.
So basically, it starts with
Based on a book.
The David McCullough book. Yeah.
the David McCullough book.
Yeah.
It starts.
David McCullough just won the highest honor you can get in America. Yeah, anyway.
Pulitzer?
No, the Presidential Award of Freedom or something. Yeah.
Awards.
Is that like when you
Various
in
distinguished
gym when you can
historical
do 50
Yes,
pull-ups?
yes.
Yes, that's exactly. He
Yes.
did a lot of
The
pull-ups.
fitness exam, the Presidential Fitness Award
Yeah.
for 10 push-ups. So beyond that, this is the story that follows. It's sort of John Adams, through the eyes of John Adams, the creation of the United States of these here United States of Americas. Starts with the British in Massachusetts, starting to kind of
Boston Massacre.
a little ornery, and then kind of goes on from there. Huge cast. Paul Giamatti as John Adams, Laura Linney as his wife,
Abigail.
Abigail Adams. Justin Theroux plays John Hancock. David Morse, who I love, David Morse plays George Washington, which is great. Tom Wilkinson plays Ben Franklin, which I think is genius casting. Cast is huge. It's shot. Well, let's get in to see how people thought of it. There have been 3 episodes now.
Yeah,
Different.
I think probably by this time this comes out, there'll have been the 4th.
There'll be the 4th,
And
yeah.
it's interesting because we have such an international audience. I don't know if this will resonate for people outside of the United States,
States?
but it's interesting. I really, really like this show a lot. I think that it's when I was a kid in school, my least favorite subject was history.
Given.
And given. And now
English, could have been
and I
English.
think that's unfortunate because now I find history to be one of the most fascinating subjects of all. Because the thing that I think is a shame is that we weren't shown history in these kinds of stories where it really makes it fascinating. And I love particularly in this show how language is shown as having such power and potency, you know, especially.
That's a Jeff thing.
And I know people hate it when I bring relevance to actual outside life, but you know, so we're in a political era here in the States where, you know, we have one candidate who is really being criticized because he's all about language and just fancy words and whatever. And I think that this show kind of eloquently portrays the fact that words can be powerful and can be moving and can change the world. And it's really inspiring, and I find the show to be fascinating and well made. And I actually think Paul Giamatti is kind of weak. I don't think he's that great a part of the show. I think the show has flaws, but overall, I'm really enjoying the experience.
Okay. Danzig?
Okay, all right. Okay, when I was a little kid,
Oh, Lord.
my dad would eat broccoli,
Means he doesn't like
and I would be like grossed out by the brocks, you know? Grow up, I like broccoli. Broccoli's good, you know?
So broccoli is your history.
My dad would watch Larry King all the time, CNN. All my dad was watching CNN. I was like, that's so boring. How do you watch that? It's so
McLaughlin
boring.
Group was
now,
my dad.
I fucking love Larry King.
Do you really?
CNN. Yeah, I totally do.
He looks an awful lot like broccoli.
I saw the trailer for this John Adams, and I was like, that is totally something my dad would be watching upstairs. I'd be downstairs watching Full House. My dad would be like, Daniel, gotta see this. You know,
This is
I'd be
how the
there,
country was
and
made,
I'd be
man.
like, so boring. In history class, growing up, so boring. And now I find all this stuff so interesting. So I was so excited to finally, for them, the Batman Begins history for me, you know?
Batman Begins history.
But I
That should
was,
be the tagline
I have
of
to
the
say, unfortunately, I was still bored by the show. I really wish I wasn't. I really wish I wasn't. It did some things to reel it up for me, but ultimately, it's something I shouldn't speak too negatively about, kind of like Ninja Gaiden. It's kind of still in that genre. You know, Amistad is one of the few Spielberg movies. It's fine. You know, you think with Steven Spielberg behind it, I'd be interested in the subject. Courtroom stuff. I can't. Maybe another 20 years, it'll finally be for me. As of right now, I just couldn't get into it.
Okay.
I just couldn't.
What did you think of how it was shot?
I did not like. It does. You know. Nice big shield, you know, like, you know, it's doing the doc style thing, but it's not quite. It's video, and it's not quite. It's not done with the eye that I like. Still,
This is very interesting. There's a lot of stuff that is interesting about this. First off, I'm
Broccoli.
surprised that you didn't like how it was shot because I was sort of amazed at how beautiful it was as a show. And I was thinking, well, Dan will like it because these are gorgeous shots and it's just like this landscape is amazing and all this stuff. I'm going to say I am very, very into this a lot. I think it's interesting. I think it's very well acted. I think it's a period of time that we don't get to see in such a sort of well done way. It's not
Also
the wrong way.
honest.
Yeah, and
They
I
like
was-
leave the warts on these people.
no,
you know?
most definitely, which is sort of cool, and I actually think it's really well shot. I thought it was really pretty and sort of diverse with its different episodes. Like episode 3 was so much different. It was so like
Yeah, very
different Paris
departure,
and, like,
yeah.
So for me, I enjoy it. I don't want to overstate it because at the end of the day, it is a history miniseries. You know what I mean? And if you're not into the history of the country or you don't live in the country, it might not be for you. Maybe you'll Dan it. You know what I mean?
I wish I didn't feel the way. I want it to be like, like I said, it's like, I always say Batman Begins, but we were watching Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves the other day, and I remember that was the first time they took something that I always saw in Technicolor, and they made it like gritty and like real. I mean, of course, it's still a campy movie, but like,
It's not all that campy when you watch it. It's not. I enjoyed.
I camp in a good way, good camp, not bad camp, not
I
band
don't know if
camp.
I'd say it was band camp.
Anyway,
Maybe his language, his accent goes in and out a little bit. But anyway, so John Adams, I think overall good. Don't listen to Dan. Watch it. See what you think. And we will talk later about. I think we're gonna watch Babylon 5.
Yeah, as per recommendations
We've
of
been hearing a lot
viewers.
of Babylon 5. Babylonians unite. All right, people, before we get to our emails, we'd like to thank our sponsors. GV.com, the new GameV.com is the place to upload and share your game videos. They got a lot of cool new features. I'm very partial to the highlight feature, but we're gonna be focusing on a couple different features next week. But if you're not sure, the highlight feature allows you to highlight specific sections of a video, email the video to a friend or embed it on your site, and people can choose to just watch that section you highlighted, which I think is great.
Super
so
cool.
head over to GameV.com, sign up for an account, or just go ahead and surf through some of the cool vids.
Also head over to GoDaddy.com if you're interested in domain names as low as $1.99, easy startup software, hosting options. If you want 10% off your order while you're there, use our promo code. It's TRS1. It'll let them know that you watch our show. It'll give you 10% off. Pretty darn good deal.
Yeah.
also Netflix. Netflix is online renting. They have 75,000 titles, Blu-ray. I don't know. Do I say HDTV still? What do I have to do with that?
they
You just
get
make angels cry when you say
high definition disc formats.
Some of these titles that I recommend you renting are, gosh, if you want to rent a cooler gambling movie, Rounders.
Did you say gosh? Go.
I did. Golly.
That's great.
Golly, if you want to rent a better Ben
Rounders.
Stiller, not a better, a good Ben Stiller movie, speaking of Tropic Thunder, we've talked about it a lot amongst ourselves, Flirting with Disaster being a frickin' rad movie.
I love that movie.
I have not seen that movie.
Love that movie.
So good. Directed by the guy who did Three Kings. Really good. 40 shipment centers. My very light head. 40 shipment centers. So you, you basically get your movie the next day from putting it on your queue. Should I just say all the sentences randomly in no order?
I know. Put it on your queue.
www.planstarted499.netflix.com/TRS.
The WWWs are important, but that was very, very good.
The plan started $4.99 is not as important in the URL.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
All right, so let's get to our email. This email comes to us from Tom. Okay, now I have a question for you guys. That implies us. What's your stance on FAQs and how do you use them? Interesting. I usually only use them when I get stuck in a game. However, on action-adventure games like Tomb Raider, Prince of Persia, I practically read sections of the guide to tell me what to do before playing the game, which I think is very interesting. Now that I have the Wii, I've been playing Twilight Princess. I love the game, but the sad reality is I don't have much time to play, so I use the FAQs to speed up the puzzle solving, which helps me finish and enjoy the game quicker. Yes, I know that I'm missing out on the satisfaction of feeling the satisfaction you feel solving a tough puzzle, but basically I don't have the luxury of time to struggle for hours on the puzzle on my own. So his question to us is, do you use FAQs? And do you have any personal rules on how you use FAQs? Love the show, Tom in Vegas. Thank you, Tom. Very interesting question.
Very interesting question.
Controversial question.
And this is, Tom is a guy who's written to us a lot. He just recently found a Wii. He's been searching for a Wii. Crazy that you can still not barely find a Wii for his son. Anyway, I thought that was very cool.
That is cool. How do you experience FAQs, my friend?
Well, I've implemented a rule in my life about this.
Most of us do, which is why this is a good question.
I'm pretty sure Jeff will not be a fan of this rule, but I don't know. We'll see when he gets his answer. But I now have, and let me explain it fully, I have a 30-minute rule. If I'm stuck on a game, it's basically, this would not be, let me say this, if we didn't have to finish games or get through large chunks of games to review them, I probably wouldn't have this rule in play. But when I need to see a game, I have this 30-minute rule. If I'm stuck in something for more than 30 minutes or an hour, I mean, it's, if I'm feeling close to the answer, I'm looking up that one part. This is not for puzzle games. This is not for Professor Layton or something where the game is figuring out the puzzle. It is.
Did you ever look at the FAQ for Monkey Pants with the Island Ball? Wait, what was the one that we did?
I don't remember reading
the Wii game, Captain
No,
Island.
Zack and Wiki.
Zack and Wiki.
No.
Okay.
Not for that.
All
but
right.
for games
What about,
where
how
it's
long
like,
did it take you guys to realize you had to actually yell at the guy in Ninja Gaiden?
I looked that up.
Did you?
Yeah.
I figured it out, but it took me for freaking ever.
I'm happy to know
Wow.
that.
I'm impressed that you figured that out. It's true that you do not have the same level of satisfaction from spending 3 hours and then the elation that you feel when you figure something out. But I don't think I don't feel this much less satisfaction. I just feel this much less satisfaction because ultimately I like to see the game.
Okay.
So
half-hour rule, give or take, could be an hour.
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
Well, you bring up a whole nother point that I think deserves a discussion in a whole nother episode about how
Getting through
a game in order to review it, like what I think people who hear that and people who read review, I think they think that deters from a reviewer. I mean, and all reviewers do it, but I think that there's something about that makes the gaming experience less pure and less. Changes your perspective, doesn't it?
I would
Anyway,
agree
but that's a
wholeheartedly.
whole nother
I would
discussion.
agree wholeheartedly, because I have a different experience to games now than I did before we started this show.
Yeah. Anyway,
And
well,
not
we'll
in
talk
a good
about
or
that
bad
some
way,
other
just
time.
that is a thing, yeah.
As far as FAQs, Steve and I used to be roommates, and I remember some
Heated
very
debate.
debates over this. Because we would be, I remember specifically, I think it was like playing Zelda on the GameCube, and like I would work a few hours and he would work hours, and there would be little overlaps. So he'd be playing when I wasn't home, and I'd be playing when he wasn't home. He'd get farther than me, and I'd be like, "How did you get farther than me?" And he said, "Oh, I looked it up on the FAQ," and it'd be so mad. I have always really disliked the
Of course, because that's
Jeff
you.
Canada. Yeah.
That's perfect.
I don't know what that means.
Right.
I wish. So yeah, I have looked at FAQs.
Oh well,
I'm not above reproach. I am not above reproach.
Princess Cancy Pants.
Yeah, it's certainly not a half an hour. It's certainly I feel.
Yes, Dan.
I don't mean to be condescending about it, but I really do feel like that's the fun, and there's certain fun to be had in games on a purely dexterous level or mechanical level of playing the game. But yes, but it's a very, very last resort.
Okay.
You want to explain what FAQs are?
Oh, well,
Cheat
FAQ,
guides, game guides.
It's a game guide. Like I think
Frequently
we're talking
asked
about
questions.
Yeah, but we're talking more specifically to like the walkthroughs. So basically, if you get to a situation,
GameFAQs.com, basically.
Yeah, that's what
GameFAQs.com. That's where I usually go. Except, yeah. I'm gonna say my rule is a little looser than Dan's 30-minute.
You have it up when
a
you-
lot looser than Jeff's never rule. My feeling is I get frustrated very quickly with games and I just want to stop. So for me, what happens is I'll play and I'll be like, oh, this is so great, this is so great. Die and be like, oof, that was stupid of me. Die, oof, that was really stupid of me. Die, ooh, maybe it's not me. Die.
I hate this game.
I hate this game. And then I hate this game and I will stop playing it. And literally that's what happens is I go, well, I don't want to, this is not enjoyable anymore. And so when my threshold is maybe it's a little bit more than 30 minutes, maybe it's less than 30 minutes, depending upon how quickly after you
As is
read.
mine. 30 minutes is just.
Yeah. For me, it's the moment the game becomes unfun, I look at the FAQs because I know there's more fun to be had, and it's just that my level has been met.
Mm-hmm.
My level of I'm willing to try this. It's the same thing of like, what the definition of crazy is doing the same thing over, expecting there to be a different result.
Right.
That's exactly how I feel about these things. If
Makes you
I
crazy.
feel like I'm doing something right and it's not working, I can try a couple different things, but if really in my mind I'm going, no, the thing that I should be doing is the thing that I know doesn't work, I can only do that 12 times before I go.
Well, the interesting thing though is that I try and implement it when the game is dexterity based. Yeah. And the puzzle solving is when you have to puzzle solve on top of doing something crazy. It's like I've already got enough shit to worry about right now. Let me figure out this. So then.
And for me, it's less about puzzles. I think that's the key.
Yeah.
It's not really about puzzles. It's like in the Devil May Cry, where you had to hook the swords at the thing. I never figured that out.
Many games, and it's an old game cliche, from way back, you walk into the room, the boss battle starts, and you have absolutely no idea what the specific pattern is to kill this boss. Like, what is their weak point?
Right.
And I should back off my harsh, like, oh, I don't like to use them. I think those situations where, I don't like those situations where you've been playing the game a certain way, you open a door, walk into a room, a boss fights you, and you literally do have to die and repeat before you experiment enough times to figure out, oh, this is what I was supposed to be doing from the beginning.
Yeah, and there's no information. It's not like you walk in and they're like, please don't throw the swords.
But when the
fight.
puzzle, when the point at which I'm stuck is just based on, let me figure this out, or this is kind of what the game wants me to be doing right now is thinking, then I feel like, well, I don't want to use the fact as an excuse for not thinking.
Right.
I want to use the fact as an excuse for not getting frustrated.
And to me, that's what I mean by mine's a level of enjoyment. If I'm still enjoying the like Rubik's Cube-ness of it,
The funky thing is, it's a game. It's not it's not a story we're trying to experience, even though we are now because it's Muddy Water. But the thing of it is challenge.
Yeah.
So I mean, like the thing of it is figuring out the challenge. That is
the computer takes its gauntlet off, smacks you in the face,
and that is why it's beating a game, not finishing.
It's still finishing.
I don't know.
But I'm beating. Okay, whatever.
That's a 20-minute conversation for another time. Thank you, Tom, for the email. If you'd like to send an email, please feel free to do so. You can send your emails to fans@totallyradshow.com.
Also send us...
Well, I was just going to say, we also want to thank Luke Stoneley, I think that's how you pronounce your last name, for sending in this great background, which he was just about to ask about.
Yeah, and if you want your background on the show, there's really only one place to send it. That's fans@totallyradshow.com. Visit our website, totallyradshow.com. You can download our logo. You can get the parameters for what we like. We love the background, so please keep sending them to us. The forums. check out the forums. Discuss this burning issue of topic in our.
Well, maybe we should do that as the poll question too.
I was gonna-
Would
I
you
wanted to
use
do.
FAQs?
I should have mentioned this before, but
Right.
I really wanted to do the
Yeah.
wire versus the
Way
shield,
before.
just to see.
I'm actually curious.
Just to see.
How about wire?
Because you know what? In this room,
2v2.
2v2.
How
Steve
about-
and me.
Well, we need a third option. How about
What do you mean third option?
Dexter.
Buffy?
Buffy, come on.
Look.
Well, look at the Gauntlet. Just throw
all right.
down.
We'll put
Sorry.
something up.
I just like screamed in your face.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I love that. So forums. You have any spaces to talk about?
I have one space. MySpace.
Nice.
MySpace.com/totallyradshow. Become our friend. And also, in addition to that, you can go to the website, should have said that before, to find out the movie we're going to review next week. We've already given you fair warning. It's CJ7.
So don't worry about
Teased
going to the
CJ7
website.
so many
So
times.
I know.
don't worry about going to the theater because it's probably not there. You'll rent it or download it to hear our to get in
Right.
on our review.
Also, head over to jinx.com/TRS if you haven't picked up your TRS shirt or your TRS hoodie. Summer's coming. Need some winter clothes. That's it for this week's edition of the Totally Rad Show. I'm Alex Oliver.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
My
Keep it
fist is
rad.
ready for pumping.
You want yellow? No, you don't want yellow.
Fuck, I already fucked it up.
B, I've got to cut his whiskers, all right?
It's in the crate.
What, Jeffrey? If he doesn't get it, he's gonna flip out!
What's not the grades?
Jeffrey, if he doesn't get it, he's gonna completely flip out!
I just told you that. It's not the grades.
Jeffrey, if he doesn't get it, he's gonna completely flip out!
It's not in the crate. You left it inside the house, didn't you? Didn't you? You run in the house and you get your busy beat. You run.